Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into the video tonight. So I also want to thank you for, all of your cooperation and patience with the whole proclamation that's been going on. I know it's been thrown at you at a really crazy time anyway with COVID-19 and everything like that. So I hope that you guys are all staying safe, and also that the video that we're going to be putting on tonight will answer a lot of your questions in regards to registration, and hopefully make these times a little bit less crazy for you and make things make more sense for you. Basically, the purpose for this video tonight is to go over frequently asked questions we've been encountering a lot of since opening up registration, but also just to really show you the registration platform, so hopefully you'll feel more comfortable with the platform when you're doing your own registration. So obviously I probably won't get to all of the questions that you have on this video. They might not even be questions that I know exist. So always, please, if you have a question, feel free to reach out to nssdms@live.com or the second address is info@nsamrt.ca. So reach out to one of those or both of those emails, and we'll get back to you to answer your question. Chances are somebody else is thinking it too, so I'll be trying to do a couple more frequently asked documents and things like that throughout this process. So definitely, if you think of it, reach out. So I'm just going to dive right in. The first question we have had asked a couple times is, if I'm an NSSDMS member, do I still have to register for the college? Yes, you do still have to register for the college. Every sonographer and MRT that's practicing in Nova Scotia and wants to continue to work as a sonographer or MRT in Nova Scotia has to. So yes, NSSDMS is a society that's been around for a while, and we do have some of your information, like your address and things like that. But in order to efficiently regulate the profession, we need more information from our registrants, so that we can adequately protect the public. So what I mean by that is we don't have access as NSDMS to your work eligibility, to all of your education, like your diplomas, your degrees, that kind of stuff. That's all something that will help us out to make sure that, again, we're protecting the public the best we can. So the second question that we received was about personal liability insurance, otherwise known as PLI. Especially in the aspect of, do you still need it if you are in a non-clinical setting, if you're employed in a non-clinical setting? So yes, every registrant of the college needs personal liability insurance. That's because we can't guarantee that even though you are in a non-clinical setting, when you renew with the college, let's say November 2020, you're in a non-clinical setting, but then let's say in January of 2021 you move into a clinical setting, so now you are working with patients. If you don't have your personal liability insurance during the year that the college is unaware of your job change, you are going to have less protection for yourself. So the personal liability insurance is really to protect our registrants and make sure that in the event that there's a claim laid against you, you are covered, basically. So it doesn't hurt to have. It's a good thing to have, especially if you're unsure if you're ever going to go from a non-clinical to a clinical setting. So everybody has to have it. That way everybody's covered. So the third question, and this is a really, really big question that a lot of people have been asking, it's about the documents. So I know it's a source of anxiety and stress for a lot of people. You see all of these documents we're requiring of you, and it's hard. You don't know where it is, you don't know if you have it, you don't know if you qualify. So I just want to take the time to let you know that we currently are in what's called a transitioning period for sonographers for the college, and what that means is up until June 15th, we are accepting registrants with a lot of leniency on the documents that we need. So I've created a chart that will have different criteria that you can find which criteria you fall into, and then that will tell you what documents you need. I'm going to do kind of like a quick background information on it, so you'll hopefully feel a little bit more comfortable with the documents after watching this video, but you can also refer to that chart that I'm referring to, and that will definitely be the best way for you to know exactly what documents are expected of you specifically. So with this transitioning phase, we're basically accepting 3 different criterias of sonographers. So the first criteria are the sonographers who have their Sonography Canada credential, and they also have graduated from an accredited program. This is the credential, or this is the criteria that is going to be the standard for the college after the transition period is over. So for that reason, if you did not graduate from an accredited program, if you did not get Sonography Canada credentials, it's really, really important right now that you register during this time so that you can make sure that you are able to continue practicing seamlessly. Okay, so the other 2 criteria, the second criteria is that you have your ARDMS credential and you have been practicing in Nova Scotia in ultrasound for 1 year. So then the third criteria is that you have no credentials at all, so no sonography credentials, and you didn't graduate from an official program, you didn't go to any official schooling, you trained on the job, but you have worked in ultrasound in Nova Scotia for 5 consecutive years. So the documents are going to really range for what we accept for all 3 of these categories. So again, the best thing for you to do is refer back to that chart that I'm going to be sending out later on today. So hopefully you guys will get a chance to check that out as well. It'll also be posted on Facebook on the group called Nova Scotia Sonographers. So check that out too if you're not a member of that. Also, if you're not receiving any emails, please also reach out to nssdms@live.com or info@nsamrt.ca. So just so that you guys are aware, when you start up the registration process, it already has a list of documents that it's saying that you need. One of the documents you don't need, and that's what's called a CFTA form. And basically it just is asking for your employment history, your registration with other colleges in the past 10 years. So we don't need that currently. That's something that will be in the future expected of new registrants that are coming in, not during this transitioning period, so you don't have to worry about that. So let's just go with the first document. So the first document is national exam results. So if you have written Sonography Canada or ARDMS exams, you can upload your official exam results, or you could upload a proof of the credential. And that can be, you just take a picture of the official certificate that you got in the mail when you pass the credential, or even those little member wallet cards. You can also just take a picture of that, and that can be uploaded in that section. So that's for the national exam results. So then there's Canadian government issued photo ID. So that's pretty standard. It could be your driver's license, it could be a passport, things like that. So what I did is I uploaded a picture of my passport, because that can also be used in a later section where you have to upload your legal entitlement to work. So basically you can use that Canadian passport in both of those sections, so that just reduces the amount of things you have to take pictures of and upload and whatnot. So also, I just want to reiterate that this is a very safe platform that you are using. It's a local platform, so your information will not be shared internationally or even nationally, really. It's a Nova Scotian company. So for security reasons, if that makes you feel better. Okay, we also do not want a copy of your social insurance number, so that is not something that you should be taking a picture of and uploading in this area. It really is just something that has your photo and it's government issued. Okay, so then the next section where you can upload documents is what's called MIRTP education. So MIRTP, in case you're not aware, stands for Medical Imaging Radiation Therapy Professionals. So that's what you will be kind of grouped into. That's what the college is going to be regulating, is those groups of professions. So if you graduated from an accredited sonography school, you can upload either of these documents. You can upload a picture of your degree or your diploma. You can upload your transcript, or if for some reason you can't find so let's say you can't find your diploma, you aren't able to get a transcript because maybe the school no longer exists. Another option that you have is you can actually reach out to prior instructors or prior professors that maybe feel as though they can write you a letter basically stating that yes, you did take the program, yes, you did graduate, yes, you did have a diploma or a degree. Having said that, you don't have to upload anything really related to a diploma in that program if you did not do a diploma program. So, for example, if, let's say, you did your ARDMS, but you didn't do any official schooling, you can just upload your ARDMS credentials to that. So again, that little member card that you get in the mail every year that has ARDMS and it has which credentials you had. So you can upload that in that section. So it doesn't have to be a diploma that you're uploading in that. If you, let's say, don't have any credentials, you don't have any diploma, no degree, nothing like that, you're going to have to get a letter from your employer stating that you have worked for 5 consecutive years in ultrasound in Nova Scotia. So that's kind of how that would have to happen, okay? If you're still having any issues with any of that, you can reach out to us. But again, it's not going to be an issue if you don't have a diploma, a diploma or a degree program. That's okay. During this transitioning period, that's totally fine. Also, if you did have a diploma and degree, you just can't find any of the information, again, you don't have to upload anything, but you can't say to the college that you have a degree or diploma because we won't recognize it without proof of it. So it won't affect the way you practice, but we just can't say that we acknowledge that you have this if you can't provide that information to us. But it really doesn't affect the way that you practice or anything like that. So I guess to summarize, if you have a diploma or degree, you can upload the transcript, the diploma or the degree, or a letter from a professor or a instructor saying that you have it. Again, if you can't find your information. If you only did ARDMS, you can upload your ARDMS or your Sonography Canada. If you don't have anything at all, you need a letter from your employer stating that you have worked for 5 consecutive years in ultrasound in Nova Scotia. So then the next thing you need to upload is your personal liability insurance. So you can provide proof of PLI by uploading your PLI receipt, your receipt from Sonography Canada that actually says right on it what the cost was of the PLI. So you can just, again, that thing that you would have gotten probably emailed or mailed to you when you renewed your Sonography Canada in May, it comes with that little member card, and the receipt would say that you had your PLI. So you can upload that. That receipt is fine. If you got your PLI through, let's say, CAMRT or a third-party provider or OMRS, these are organizations that I'm not super familiar with, but I'm sure that they also have a way to prove that you have PLI, whether it's in a receipt form or maybe they give you a specific member card that has that information. Just find out that for yourself and upload that. What's important to know is if you are seeking personal liability insurance through a private third-party insurance company, you should probably email info@nsamrt.ca before you do so with the quote from that insurance company, that third-party insurance company, because you want to make sure that you have adequate coverage. The college does have a minimum that it requires for coverage, so you want to make sure that you actually are getting what you need. So then the next document you have to upload is the legal entitlement to work. Again, you can upload a photo of your birth certificate, your Canadian passport, your landed immigrant status card, or a work visa. As I mentioned before, I use my passport because then I could put that under my government photo ID and also my legal entitlement to work. So then the next one that we've been getting some questions about is the criminal record check and vulnerable sector check. So these documents we understand is really hard to get right now. RCMP are still doing criminal record checks and vulnerable sector checks for essential services, but having said that, we don't want all of our registrants to be going into detachments and, you know, potentially infecting more people. So what we have decided is there's a document that we did send around, so you should be able to find that in one of your prior emails, which looks like this. I know it's backwards, but it's the acknowledgement for required vulnerable sector check and criminal record check. So basically all this piece of paper says is that you acknowledge that upon college renewal for year 2021, which will happen on November 2020, you will get your criminal record check for then. So basically you just sign this paper, print your name, say which date you signed it, you take a picture of that and you upload that in the 2 areas for where you're supposed to upload your criminal record check and your vulnerable sector check. So just to reiterate, you do not need your criminal record check and your vulnerable sector check until November of 2020 when the college is renewing for the year 2021. So you will need your criminal record check then, but we're waiving that for this initial reinstatement, or sorry, initial application. Another thing that's important to realize is we know that yes, criminal record checks are done and vulnerable sector checks are done for your employment purposes. So if you have recently had one done that's less than 6 months old, you can definitely use that to apply if you already have it. But there's many people that did start working before criminal record checks and vulnerable sector checks were required, so they technically might not have it. So for this reason, we really want to make sure that the college has the most up-to-date information and up-to-date record checks so that we can say that yes, we are doing everything we can to protect the public. So just that's the explanation as to why we are requiring this again. Okay. So then the next thing that needs to be uploaded, and this is only if your name does not match, your current name does not match the name on your credentials, your diploma, any of the documents that you would have uploaded. So if your name does not match, you can do something like upload, for example, a marriage certificate. Basically, we want to make sure that the name that's registering on the application matches the name that's on the diploma or matches the name that's on the credential. So that's the only time that you'll have to upload that. Also, having said that, if you have a diploma from, let's say, an X-ray diploma program that you did, but you don't practice X-ray anymore, you don't plan to practice X-ray anymore, it's something that you just kind of have laying around, you don't have to upload that. The only things you need to upload are ultrasound related. So that's something that you don't have to go and dig for your old X-ray diploma. You can just upload the things that are relevant to ultrasound. Okay? Let me just check here again to see. Yeah, okay. So those are all the documents that you have to upload. So now that you know what documents you need to gather in order to apply, let's just quickly go over the registration process. Obviously, if you still have questions about the documents required to upload during the registration, please check out that chart that I was talking to you about before and identify which of those 3 transitioning criteria you meet, and then that will hopefully give you a better idea of which of the documents you specifically need. Always feel free to reach out, but that should be pretty straightforward. So hopefully you can see this. Sorry, my chair is squeaky. Let's just see with the lighting here how we can get that to work. Okay, There we go. So basically, what I'm holding up here, this is just the NSAMRT website. So they actually changed it now so that as soon as you type in nsamrt.ca, you see these two buttons here which say View our membership directory or Register with NSAMRT. You're going to hit Register with NSAMRT. So then you're directed to this kind of login page here. Okay, there's a button there that says Apply Now. So that's what you're going to hit. So then you arrive upon a web page that looks like this. So basically this is just the instructions saying that the documents you upload can be in PDF or JPEG format, and again reiterating what the required documents are that you need. So you need to scroll down to the bottom of that, and there's a box that says I have all needed documents and I'm ready to complete my application. So it's really important that you do in fact have all of your required documents, because you cannot save your application partway through. You have to completely finish the application, otherwise you'll have to redo it. The actual application process has mainly taken, I think, people anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes. The application is pretty quick, so I'll show you that in just a second here. So this is what it looks like when you first log in. So just going to quickly go through it. There's just a few different sections there that you can see. So we'll go through that a little bit together here, and you can watch this video shortly before you do your application. But you can also, and this is actually what I recommend, is we created a document that is called Registration Processes that has also been emailed. I would recommend you have that open when you are doing your actual registration, because there might be some areas that cause you some confusion, and that should answer those questions for you, hopefully. So basically you do some of your your general things, including you create an account. So you put in your email, a password, there's this registration detail thing where you say what your primary discipline is. So for you it would be sonography. And then application category, the one that's most likely going to fit for you will be Nova Scotia applicant, in brackets new graduate. There's just some demographic information, member data, where you include, again, your name, your address, that kind of stuff, secondary email. There is an area that says CMRT number. Don't worry about that. You don't have to put that in if you don't have it. There is also an area that you can click. Sorry, I know I keep showing it, you can't really see it, but it does say that if you are interested in volunteer opportunities, you can click that. So that's something that would actually be really helpful if you are interested potentially in volunteering with NSA, or sorry, with the college. Then that's a good way to get involved and to know what's going on. So then when we get to basic MIRTP education. So let me just see here. The basically it's asking for like institution where you would have, taken ultrasound and everything like that. Similar to what I was mentioning before, if you didn't graduate from an official program, you can just put ARDMS in there. That's fine. Other education, if you have another degree, or if you have something else that you'd like to input in there, you can add that as well. National exam, there's a question that says, have you written the national exam? If you did write Sonography Canada, you press yes, and then it'll ask you what your how many times you attempted it, and when you wrote it. If you didn't, you can write no. You select no, and then it'll ask when you plan to write it. So you can just, for that option, just write a day in the past, and that should complete it enough so that you can move forward with the application. So then there's a section called professional registrations other than NSAMRT. You don't have to put Sonography Canada or ARDMS in there, because technically those are credentialing bodies they aren't licensing bodies. So this professional registrations are wondering if you are a member of another college, basically. So if you're not a member of another college, then you don't have to put anything there. You can leave it blank. One thing to note is there is an extra tab here that if you press to add another professional registration, so let's say you're saying that you're part of 2 different colleges, if you leave that blank, then you will not be able to proceed with the application. So when you're going through all of this, make sure that you're not clicking on any extra stuff that you don't need to. So then that brings us to an employment section, which we say if you have more than one employer, go with your primary employer. So whichever employer you work over 50% with then, okay? There's 2 other questions here as well under the employment section saying, have you ever been employed in the practice of MIRTP in any jurisdiction at any time in the past? Basically just asking, have you ever worked anywhere else besides where you currently work in the capacity of sonographer? So if that's the case, you click yes, and then you write your most recent employer history. You don't have to write everybody's name in there that you've ever worked for, only ultrasound related and only the most recent. Okay, and then that was pretty much it for the application already. So then it comes to the declaration and disclosure of information. Really carefully read all of that information. It's basically just asking you to answer yes or no if you've ever committed any crimes, if you've ever been suspected of anything, that kind of stuff. So that's something that you just have to read really carefully. And then that brings us to those documents, where to upload those. So that should be the most of it. There is another section too when you're all done with the uploading of the documents and you finish out filling out all your personal information. There's an option here that says payment method. So you're going to want to select send a check or money order via mail. And the reason you want to do that is because nobody is being charged for any fees for the college until August of this year. And that will be a prorated amount, but that's not going to be charged until August. So if you put in your credit card information, it might charge you, in which case we would reimburse you. But to avoid all of that, just click the send check. That's basically just to avoid you getting charged when you don't have to. NSSDMS members will not have to pay any of the 2020 college fees. Non-NSSDMS members will have to pay a prorated amount in August. So it's not the full $450, it's a prorated amount. And then also both NSSDMS members and NSSDMS non-members will have to renew for the 2021 college year in November of 2020. So that will be when everybody pays the full $450. So you just are prepaying for the year essentially. If you are going on maternity leave or something like that, that gets prorated as well. So there's definitely exceptions with all of that. So if you're concerned about any of that, reach out to us as well. So basically, the last thing that I wanted to mention quickly is that the 2-year college CPD cycle will begin on November 1st of 2020, going until October 31st of 2022. So you can use a lot of the CPDs that you are using for Sonography Canada for the college. However, it's up to you to look up the specifics of everything. There is a CPD frequently asked document that is on the NSAMRT website. So take a look at that so that you know exactly what's expected of you for CPDs and everything like that. But what we are doing is we're allowing any credits that you are working on for, let's say, Sonography Canada, or that you obtain through work, through rounds or whatever. We're allowing those backdated until June 1st of 2020. So basically you have a few months before the CPD cycle even begins to start collecting CPDs. One opportunity to actually do that's coming up very soon. On June 6th, there's an AGM and a spring education session that's all virtual, so all online, and that's hosted by NSAMRT. So after the AGM, there's going to be a chance to ask questions about the college. That's going to be really, really valuable, because even if you don't have any specific questions, you might just hear something that somebody else thought and then be like, oh, I didn't know that was even a thought. So it's good to just hear what other people are asking so that you're informed on that as well. If you are looking into that, if you're interested in that, you can register for that. It is $10 for sonographers. It's free for sonography students, for all students. But it's important to register before the June 6th date for that. Besides that, I think I've pretty much covered everything. I'm just going to take another look at my notes here quickly. Another thing too is, if you have never heard of this college before, like if this is totally news to you, there's a lot of resources that are on the NSAMRT website. We recently recorded a webinar all about proclamation. That would be under the member resources on NSAMRT. There's frequently asked documents on NSAMRT as well under member resources. And like I said, always feel free to reach out to us, okay? So I hope that this was helpful. I know it was very long and rambly, so I appreciate your patience. And as always, just reach out if you have any questions. Thank you for your cooperation, guys.